it's almost certain that you won't find the perfect action to do or the perfect path to take. But you still need to make the choice and do something anyway. So today I met up with a good friend of mine who has scaled up really impressively. In his first year, I think he's done 600k, 6 or 700 in his first ever year of business. Brilliant, like fantastic. But it's been an emotional roller coaster of deciding what's the right route to take at what point. But it kind of hasn't really mattered as long as he was directionally correct. You know, he didn't break any of the systems that he had working and chose directions that were the most likely to give good returns. Now, are they the best options? Like, probably not. And we were talking about this in terms of what's the goal for our businesses and going forwards, and should he fly business and spend the money on it, and what about selling out, and what's the risk, like his company could die tomorrow sort of thing. And I kind of gave him a thought process that loads of other people said you should stop flying business, which for the sake that they're doing it, they're pretty just borderline jealous and mad that he's done so well. So no, disagree with that. But we were having a discussion where he was concerned that his business doesn't feel real yet, in that it feels lucky, it feels like it might just stop tomorrow. New sales might just not happen, which definitely is not the case. His channel and the way that he gets leads, really simple, is very, very similar to ours. Is he's got leads that come in, they then get set for a sales call, then they have a sales call, and then they close. Like, that system of a sales team is as old as I know of businesses being, at least 100 years old, maybe even longer. Like, that's not going anywhere, and it has never gone anywhere for so long that I'm pretty safe to say that it's fine. It's not going anywhere. Now, the way that he currently gets leads through his specific method of content creation, that might change, because the way that that's done now, that really didn't exist 10 years ago. And he might have to do emails, he might have to do ads, he might have to do, I don't know, live workshops. But all of these things can funnel a very, very top system into a form which then carries on what he's doing currently. So the likelihood that the business dies tomorrow is low. He's had a few situations where his account got paused for whatever reason, and it really slowed things down. This is a legitimate fear of his. So we were talking about finances and kind of security. And I said, if security is your biggest concern, because you're in an info product which has very high leverage and you're able to maximize your individual return really fast. And if businesses have graphs, right? There's generally 4 types of graphs. You've got like a staircase, you've got a straight line, you've got an exponential, and then you've got info, which is like a huge spike really, really quickly, and then it plateaus at a certain point. It becomes very, very, very hard to scale because you're selling yourself, essentially. And info is where he's at, which is one of the reasons he's done so well. The skills that he's got are undeniable. Like, that's the real reason he's succeeded, not the vehicle that he's chosen. And so I recommended to him that if this scarcity is real, if he wants more security, what he could do is, because he's got such a high cash flow situation and such a high profit margin, he could just he could live well below his means, super frugally, keep all of the money, and within 2 to 3 years never have to work ever again and have such an amount saved. You could give that to an independent financial advisor, they would organise it for you, and you would get 150 grand a year to live on doing nothing. Right? Beautiful. Beautiful. Like, no one can complain of that. So he doesn't need to build a business to sell it out to reach that point of financial freedom. And so if safety is the thing that is his biggest priority right now, then I would say stop flying business. But if it's not, like, then I don't think any other reason I can think of is really that valid for it. Because especially the way that he generates leads, living the lifestyle, showing what he's able to do, he's not a flashy guy, but by doing that, it is a viable business expense. Like in the industry, if you go and spend a day with a Lambo, you're going to earn more money. Like, it's just the way that it is. So it's like a legitimate business expense, but just aside from that, if he wants to do it, it's his money to do what he wants. Love that. And so what I mean by this is, like, you can justify any action that you want to take, really. You can justify and list all of the pros and cons, but lots of them are subjective. Lots of them are opinion-based and what you consider as a priority at this point, rather than just the single metric of what's going to make the most money for the business fastest. That might be your metric that you want to follow by, but it might not be. So for me personally, over the next year, making the absolute most money possible is not the goal. Like, the highest revenue number is not the goal. Retaining the most profit possible next year for the least work, that is the goal. And I know it sounds quite similar, but it's very different. Like, we could hire a 20-person sales team tomorrow, do like 3 mil, 4 mil next year without any worries, but maybe not make any money. That's a really stupid idea. I'd rather keep the team the size that we are. We've only got 9 employees, I think, 8 or 9, about that. I'd rather keep the team as we are, but scale by raising prices and increasing leverage and making the product as good as possible, so that then when we decide to scale the sales team and grow that way, it's actually profitable rather than just throwing money down the bin because the systems aren't good enough, the money model's not good enough. And that's my decision of where we think we're going to go. But you can justify both. You know, if that big number is all that's important, if you want to get investors, then that might be the choice that you make. It just depends what's your goal, pretty much. So yeah, really long roundabout way of saying, as long as you take directional action towards what you're trying to achieve and you have a reason for why you're doing it, and you've considered other options, considered the angles, and then you've made a choice, brilliant, you've done the hard bit, now do it. No, now's the simple bit, but the most difficult to actually finish is execute it. It, again, doesn't have to be the perfect solution, but go for it. You might have noticed, and I certainly have, that if you know people who are doers, people who have high agency, so they think of a thing and then they just make it happen, they're the people that get stuff done and see massive growth, even if it's not perfect. Because they're just doing stuff. That's the trick. Alright guys, hope this is helpful. And if you're coming up with any choices that you need to make, that's my general framework for analysing it. What's my priority at the moment? And is it the most efficient for the goal that I'm trying to work on? And you're probably only going to be 80% correct anyway from limited data and not knowing unknowns. So once you've got a path, lock in, take your shot, and stick to it. Give it the required time for it to work. See it all the way through. And if it's working, don't break it. All right? Keep your hands away and don't break it. All right, guys, have a great evening. Peace.